day, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you, Xplor Education and Xplor for having us today. I'm Ruskin. I am a solutions architect working for AWS out of New Zealand. And we do a lot of work with Xplor Group in general and a lot of work with Xplor Education. So it's a super privilege to come here today and tell you a little bit about our partnership, how we work with Xplor Education, and also tell you a little bit about AWS and the innovation we do, which helps customers like Xplor Education. I also have with me today Simon, who I will hand over to shortly. He can introduce himself. And just like Abby mentioned earlier, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand, come off mute, and we'll have some time at the end to answer any questions as well. So I'll just quickly go through what we're going to do presenting today. So Simon's going to take you through a little bit about our culture of innovation at AWS. Then I'm going to talk to you about innovation at AWS, about two key things, which is compute and database. And we'll dive a little bit deeper into it. We'll finish off by talking a little bit about trends in the industry and eventually with some Q&A if there is any. So without further ado, I'll pass it over to Simon.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Ruskin. Look, I'm absolutely delighted to be here this afternoon and, look fondly upon our partnership or our technology partnership with Xplor Education and the work that we've been doing over the past 12 or even going back 24 months with Xplor Group. And my role at AWS is an account manager, and I only work with software and SaaS businesses that are doing extraordinary things on behalf of their customer. And I'm really excited today just to talk about the Amazon culture of innovation and how we think about innovating on behalf of our customers and what that enables ultimately for their customers when we think about it in an AWS context and from a software as a service perspective. So just on the next slide, I wanted to cover off how we organize for innovation and what that actually means. And so at Amazon, instead of building a bunch of capabilities and then trying to identify customers, we really start deeply with understanding our customers, their problems, their challenges, their aspirations, and that's really embodied, I guess, in our mission statement, which is to be Earth's most customer-centric company. And so the way that we structure our business is around culture, and that starts with customer obsession, and then hiring people that are builders. And what we mean by that is, deep thinkers and inspired to iterate and refine and continually do better on behalf of their customers and their partners. And then we tie that in with mechanisms or processes that we have learned throughout our time and our experience to encode the right behaviors and facilitate innovative thinking that then can be pushed out globally given the size and scale of the organization. And then how we've architected AWS that enables the right tools and technologies to rapidly iterate and innovate and then scale that out as we need to. And then really I'll touch on how we're structured organizationally in our software development and engineering teams. And so on the next slide, I'll touch on our leadership principles. And I think like a lot of these tie really nicely into the Xplor Education values and the way that they think about building their products. And you would have heard from the team throughout today. And so I wanted to touch on two of them. And the first one, bias for action. Bias for action, we know that in business, speed matters. But you're not always going to know the answers to everything, particularly when you're working with complex problems and situations. And so we want to enable high quality decisions, but move at the right speed and be able to innovate at the pace that our customers expect us to. And so we've got this concept around what's called a one-way door and a two-way door decision-making process. So you can think about a one-way door decision as something that's going to take a lot of due diligence and a lot of thinking. Let's think an AWS region. So to deploy a region, it's going to take billions of dollars, a lot of hours of thought and due diligence, and a lot of people's time. And so that could be considered a one-way door decision, because once you've made the decision, there's no real turning back, right? But what we've found in business is that a lot of the decisions are two-way door decisions, and that we can enable teams globally, wherever they may reside, to act with sort of speed and certainty, knowing that even if the decision is wrong, to sort of undo that decision is not going to be a major sort of implication to the business or people associated to it. And I think where we sort of tie in with Xplor Education is very much around invent and simplify, and the way that the Xplor Education product and development teams are thinking about their services for their customers, and really trying to refine the products and services and the performance and the user experience, and really looking at it from a customer-centric lens around what's most beneficial and what's going to have the highest sort of impact for the products in the market. And so how do we enable teams to do this? In the next slide, I'm just going to talk about mechanisms, and you can kind of think about these as processes. And the point in our mechanisms is to convert the inputs into the desired outputs on an ongoing basis, and sort of refine and tune the processes we sort of work through. One of the ones that I like to think about most is what we call our working backwards process. And so on the next slide, like literally no product or service that you see from Amazon, whether it's in the .com business, in the Kindle business, in the Amazon Web Services business, has got to market without going through the working backwards process. So what is that? So before we sort of start to test or write any lines of code, we really think about 5 things, and we structure this in what's called a press release and frequently asked questions. And that is answering these 5 questions. So, who is the customer, and what insights do we have about them? How do we define that? What is the prevailing customer problem, and what is the opportunity for them? And what data sort of informed this decision? Remembering that we want to be, it's not just a bias that we have, but what are the data points that are really relevant? And how do we invent this product or service? Like, what is the solution, and why is it the right solution to address that particular problem? Are there any alternatives? What's out there already? Are there, different teams working on something? And then refining that. So how would we describe the end-to-end customer experience? What is the most important customer benefit of the product or service that we're writing about? And then how would we define and measure success? So in the future, once the product or service is built and developed, what does this look like? And I think this is really cool. Like a couple of years ago, we had the opportunity to sit down with the Xplor Education leadership team and with our digital innovation team, and work through a working backwards process, and really start to ideate on the product roadmap with Xplor Education and how they can start to utilize AWS native services, which is, I think it's awesome. And they still use it to this day to, think about that life cycle. So that's just I guess a quick snapshot. And then really just moving forward to the next slide, how do we enable our teams to innovate? And I guess it's coming back to sort of that core, initial value proposition of cloud is lowering the cost of experimentation, lowering the cost of failure. And then if something is right, how do we sort of iterate that and scale it? And so that's really just using the fundamentals of AWS. And unblocking any of those traditional challenges that development and engineering teams had in terms of getting access to the appropriate resources and technology, removing that blocker and just enabling teams to test and iterate and define and create products at a very rapid clip. And so what do those teams look like is really just here on the next slide. And it's a very sort of distinct Amazonian way of organizing and optimizing, I guess, our teams. And we sort of talk about these as two pizza teams, meaning that you can feed the entire team for sort of two large New York slice style pizzas. But what is the reason for that? We found over time that, you know, the most optimal team sort of size and structure is sort of that 11, 12 mark. And then once we go over that, there's an exponential functional sort of overhead on communication and additional meetings that sort of slow those development teams down. And so that's the way that we structure our product development and engineering teams globally. And so on the next slide, I just wanted to touch on how we've actually worked with Xplor Education. So you kind of go, well, you know, how does Amazon innovate, and how have we worked with Xplor in the past? So, you know, if we think about the AWS services that Xplor Education have adopted, there's various programs that we've partnered on for the likes of migration acceleration programs, moving and sort of modernizing infrastructure in the cloud. If we think about the new product development, I sort of touched on that example where we spent, you know, an entire day or two in a workshop thinking about that working backwards process and enabling the executive leadership team at Xplor Education and the product teams to think more deeply about the product roadmap and what's available. And then even from like a really fundamental perspective, utilizing the AWS professional services teams, this is going back some time now, but around, you know, building out best practice, secure, compliant environments to sort of deliver on the compliance standards that Xplor adhere to locally and globally. So that's just a bit of a feeler, and then I'll hand it over to you, Ruskin, to kind of talk through those next agenda items. But hopefully that gives you a flavor of the way that Amazon and the AWS teams work around the world and how we support partners like Xplor.
Awesome. Thank you, Simon. So I'll continue on with that, just dive a little bit deeper into the technical side and show you how AWS supports Xplor Education and Xplor Group in general. So when we talk about AWS and how we help our customers benefit from using the cloud, we have 5 key pillars we like to lean on. Our customers use AWS because of the agility it offers their teams. And our customers can experiment in a way, just like Simon said earlier, at pace. It allows them to often release features, fix bugs, and sometimes even entirely new products within weeks. And earlier today, we also heard how Xplor Education leverages agile methodologies, and using AWS Cloud helps those teams to innovate quickly and frequently. When we talk about the cloud, we often always talk about cost savings. And with AWS, we help our customers leverage economies of scale. What this means is that our customers reduce their costs by leveraging efficiency in all aspects of their workloads, especially via supply and demand elasticity. So we have all survived a recent pandemic, which has tested essentially all our capabilities. Schools and early childhood centers went through various demand profiles. And as they leveraged Xplor Education's capability at different stages, elasticity played a huge role. And AWS Cloud allows our customers to meet demand quickly, and no longer do you have to predict demand years ahead in time. We also heard earlier from Simon how innovation is the fabric of AWS and our culture. By using AWS Cloud, our customers can walk on the same path and concentrate on what they do best, deliver value for all of you, Xplor Education customers. And the team at Xplor Education can concentrate on products to deliver value to you, and we can take the undifferentiated heavy lifting away from them. And finally, as our customers grow and their customers grow, they can leverage AWS's global footprint to deploy to customers globally. And I'll touch a little bit on our global infrastructure in a few slides. So at AWS, we help customers concentrate on what delivers value for their end customers. And we do this by providing a shared responsibility model across three key areas: security, compliance, and regulations, and sustainability. Security is our number one priority, and we are responsible for security of the cloud, while our customers are responsible for security in the cloud. And due to our scale, it allows us to have a significantly more investment in security than almost any large company. So we look after physical security, network hardware security, access control, secure storage practices, etc., allowing our customers like Xplor Education to put more emphasis on securing their data and workloads in the cloud. And because all our customers inherit the same best practices of policies, architecture, and processes, and that have been essentially built to meet the requirements for the most stringent security-sensitive customers. And same as security, with compliance and regulation, AWS is responsible for compliance of the cloud, and our customers are responsible for compliance in the cloud. So AWS does all the heavy lifting of obtaining and maintaining accreditation of the infrastructure. And with that, we have achieved several industry-recognized certifications, such as SOC, ISO standards, HIPAA, and PCI, to name a few. And our customers can bring their own security control mapping and compliance requirements and run it on AWS. And finally, our shared responsibility model for sustainability. As we work with Xplor Education to build a better future for our next generation, it is important that we do so sustainably. Amazon has a target to be powered with 100% renewable energy by 2030, and we are on the path to reach that goal by 2025. And similar to before, AWS is responsible for sustainability of the cloud, and our customers are responsible for sustainability in the cloud. So what does this actually mean? By leveraging our efficient usage of hardware, purpose-built servers, and routers, it allows us to provide efficient capabilities to our customers. And our customers can help us with our sustainability goal by using the minimum amount of hardware, taking advantage of elasticity, and optimizing inefficient patterns in code. And together with Xplor Education, we are confident that we are building a better future for our future generations. So I wanted to quickly cover off regional infrastructure just in one slide. So we currently have 27 regions and 8 new region launches coming up. We have a region coming up in Melbourne in the second half of this year, and also a region in Auckland, year mark for 2024. We're super excited about that. We'll be working closely with Xplor Education team and actually what this means for their product and their end users. So stay tuned. What differentiates AWS is our depth and breadth of services. So we have over 200 fully featured services. We can virtually support any cloud workload. And today I want to talk about two of those aspects: compute and database. So let's look at compute first. So our vision is to provide a compute platform for every workload. We work closely with our customers, Xplor Education included, to create a world-class foundation for innovation, which our customers can leverage and deliver great products. And earlier today, you also learned about how Xplor Education leverages containerization to deliver value to you. We also help our customers innovate using our EC2 capabilities and also our serverless offerings like Lambda. These are often used to support a variety of workloads, allowing our customers to use the right foundation for the right workload. I wanted to take this opportunity to dive a little bit deeper into one of our key innovations, which is our Nitro system. So before I talk about what Nitro actually is, I wanted to demonstrate that it took 5 years of development and was released in 2017. In essence, it is a hypervisor built specifically for AWS. And for those who might not know what a hypervisor is, it is essentially a virtualization platform which we run on hardware to provide our customers with compute power. So let's dive further into it. So traditionally, we ran a Xen-based hypervisor, where most of the virtualization was happening at a software layer. It was all plugged into this highly privileged operating system on the host, and it was called DOM0. So just bear with me a little bit. I'm going to simplify a lot of complexity here. So some of these things might be, I might be going it a little bit too quickly. Most of the time when guest OS instructions are executed, the underlying host doesn't really care. But for some instructions, the hypervisor does care. This was traditionally done using software emulation in DOM0, which is an operating system laying on the hypervisor itself. And because it was doing a lot of heavy lifting, we had to reserve a bit of compute power for that very reason, almost 10% of the host. So at our scale, reserving 10% of every host was quite a big number. And moreover, the DOM0 operating system was a large hypothetical attack surface, especially as it powered a landing place for engineers to deploy monitoring tools, debugging, other tooling, and it was software-based. So we wanted to break this monolithic system down into smaller pieces for scale, maximize performance, and security. Idea being that we wanted the hypervisor to be minimalistic and move everything to the hardware layer. And so we moved our various device models over from DOM0 to the Nitro chip. Now, this is super interesting stuff and great engineering, but why would the customer care? Why would you care? So hopefully this graph helps you understand why Nitro was, in my opinion, the pivotal point in our compute journey. So before Nitro, we had 70 instances. And since 2017, after Nitro got released, we have over 500 instance types. So as Xplor Education creates applications and leverages compute to serve its customers, they have all these instances at their disposal. Instances which are designed for virtually any cloud workload and all made possible using Nitro. And with Nitro, we can provide our customers with the broadest choice of processors and architectures. And a recent breakthrough now actually allows customers to run Mac instances on AWS as well. And as we talk about our next generation, we cannot go past without talking about Pokemon. So we all know what Pokemon is, even though we claim that we've never played it. I've played it, great game. And here's a quote from the senior manager. So in summary, after moving the CI/CD tooling to EC2 Mac instances, they saw a 400% improvement in build speeds. Phenomenal. So the other aspect I wanted to cover was data. We're working with Xplor Education on helping them derive more value from data. The early education and childcare domain, actually most domains, create large amounts of data, and this is growing exponentially. Data comes from varied sources and is often very diverse. Its usage is varied and used by a lot of downstream applications. So let's look at an end-to-end example here. Consider eating and sleeping patterns of children at education centers. My kids are a bit older now, but I remember getting a log entry for what they did during the day in terms of eating and sleeping. This is so cool. And not only did the center use this data, but as a parent, this data was extremely useful for me too. And now I just had to concentrate on the data to tell my children that I actually have proof that they have had enough sugar for the day, which was amazing, great power. So well done. So with our managed database offerings to support customers like Xplor Education, they can use the best tool for the job and allow AWS to do all the heavy lifting so they can continue to create value for their data and concentrate on business differentiators. So finally, I want to end with talking a little bit about two trends we are seeing in the industry. Data is becoming more and more pivotal. So no longer is data just an output. It is becoming the epicenter for a lot of our customers to create data-driven businesses using modern data architecture. And this continues to be an area we're working on with Xplor Education. And finally, we're seeing a big move towards AI and machine learning as well. And AWS is uniquely positioned to help our customers to bring about business value, create training opportunities, and allow our customers to integrate their existing infrastructure into modern AI ML capabilities. You can use AI ML models to predict staff rostering schedules, financial modeling, pricing trends, children to teacher ratios, and so much more. So with that, Simon and I would like to thank you for attending our talk, and also a big thank you to Xplor Education for having us. We look forward to continuing to work together on making life better for our future generations.